See the moonlights on the town. Whoa, I'm getting ready. Tallawah TV is in the town. Whoa, I'm getting ready. Got a corner on the telephone. Yeah, this is the Shout Out the Messenger, and you're watching Tallawah TV with the host and best. So Davis, take it away.
My Tallawahs, how are you all? Good evening, maybe it's a good morning or a good afternoon, all depends on where you are based in the world. I did say on my last live stream that I will be coming back this week at some point to talk about the Reggae Boyz squad announcement for the next 3 fixtures that we have coming up, starting off this Friday. I say this Friday if you are based in the UK, or a game against our fierce rivals Mexico kicks off bang on at 12 a.m. I hope you guys are going to be on my live stream for that game. I'll do my best to see if I can stream that and possibly do a live watch along for you guys as well. Massive shout out to everyone who's tuned in. If you are choosing to keep it quiet and sit back and watch, then I do hope that you enjoyed the stream and what I have to say. And also, if you choose to drop a comment in the comment section like Mr. Richard Stevens, then I will be interacting with you as the conversation goes on. Make up yourself, Richard. I know you dropped a comment earlier on. Possibly, what time was this? Can't even see the time. Coming up to almost an hour ago, actually. So nice to see that you've been engaging with my post, and massive appreciation to yourself. No doubt, I love and enjoy your support. Good evening. Is it a good evening, John? Is it a good evening or a good afternoon? Please do kindly remind me. My memory is probably not that great at times. So, good afternoon or good evening to yourself, John. I hope you've had a pleasant day. Pamela's son, I know it's a good afternoon to yourself. I hope that you and the family are all in good spirit. So, guys, like I said, tonight I'm going to be going through the squad announcement and how I've done it. I've pretty much, it's hardly much to talk about if I'm being honest. So, I've gone ahead and I've picked out, if I can count my players, possibly 3 to 4 players that I think are worth keeping an eye on, given the circumstances in which they've been pulled into the team. It'll be great, I think, to touch on the players that I have in mind. Hopefully, along the conversations, you guys can tap in and let me know your thoughts. Good evening to yourself, sir. A blessed evening to yourself. I hope the week has been very kind to you. Again, nice to see you back on my live stream. I think this is a hat trick for yourself. If my calculation is correct, I think this is the third time I've seen you in the matter of days on my stream, and it is a pleasure to have you here. And I hope to see you along the future on future live streams. My namesake, Rohan, where have you been? Good night to yourself, Rohan. I hope you're in good spirits. I hope the week has been going well for you so far. I figured my calculation and my math was on point at that moment. Mr. Pamela's son. Warren, Mr. Warren, how are you, Warren? How is the week treating you? I hope it's been kind. As ever, thank you so much for tuning into my live stream. You know how this one goes. I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible, but I highly doubt that that will be the case, because once you guys get me started, it's very, very hard for me to stop. But I am running on low battery power tonight, so maybe that will alter the way I usually do things. But it's nice to have you here, Warren. Let me go ahead and read your comment. Amen. Amen, Warren. I'm going to leave that comment. I'm going to bring that comment up in a bit. I'm going to take it down and then I'm going to bring it up again, because I love that comment, Warren. And that's what we're trying to echo, definitely, as the 12th man. You touched on positivity there, positive vibes, and I couldn't agree any more than what you've stated. You've hit the nail on the head. Big up yourself, John. Always from you, Anna. Thank you. That means a lot. You put a smile on my face. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Very Okay. I was wondering, I haven't seen you around for a minute, Roran. It's good to hear that you're in good spell. I'm assuming you're in good spirits since you managed to make your journey to and from safe and sound. Looks like every week, so it looks like it's a regular trip for yourself. Thankfully, you've managed to make the trip safe and sound, and long may that continue. I hope, just like everybody else who's watching and everyone in the live in the comment section, I hope you all have a pleasant week as we head off into the weekend. My time over here is currently 11:28, so I'm almost into my Thursday. Thursday would mean game day for you guys, but just to reiterate, if you are based in the UK, game day is actually on Friday at 12 a.m. So do keep an eye on my YouTube channel for that. Right, going back to the squad announcement, let me bring up a comment that I actually quite like because it's speaking about positivity, and I am absolutely all for that. If you are the 12th man, I think we have the easiest job when it comes to football. I think the manager, the coach's assistant, the players, backroom staff, they have the hardest part of the job because essentially they're the ones who have to go out there and be soldiers and grind and get these all important results. All we have to do is to try and let our voices be heard. You can never ever dispute the value of the 12th man. You've heard it from the current interim head coach, Mr. Paul Hall, and you've also heard it from a few of the players as well. Player that comes to mind automatically is Damian Lowe. Damian Lowe is very in favor, largely in favor of utilizing the strength of the 12th man. And so, with that being said, it's quite pleasant to see Warren, and I'm assuming the rest of you guys in the comment section all pretty much beating the same drum. Hopefully, we can drum up some positive vibration because the team will most certainly be appreciative of such support. Now, I want to actually start my live stream off. I want to see if I can bring up screen share so we can have a little bit of a read. Well, I'm going to have to bring up screen share because much of what I'm touching on tonight requires you guys to actually see the screen because visibly it would look better if you guys can look at what I'm looking at as well. So I'm going to bring up screen share so that you guys can, but before I do that, let me drop a link to the chat to the live stream down in the comment section, and if anyone wants to pop on, you're more than welcome to. You know the number one rule, please try and keep it pleasant in terms of your use of language, and also do try and have a well lit background as well so I can see your lovely face. Okay, so let me pop down to the screen share. First player I'm actually going to be touching on is Kimar Roof before I forget, because I think he deserved high praises. He did something this current week which I am in massive favor of. You guys can definitely see my screen. Warren, I'm going to be back with you in a second. I'm just going to remove your comment briefly and then I will bring it back on screen. I also need to remove my own comment because that's clearly in the way for you guys. We're going to pop over and we're going to look at Kimar Roof. By the way, Kimar Roof was in the team sheet, the squad for tonight's game. So tonight's game, I'm referring to Rangers. If I pop over, I believe they actually won their game 1-0 and it was a cup competition. So let me just double check that for you guys. Yes, they did. Let me bring that on screen because you guys probably want to see that as well, just as much as myself. There you go, guys. Rangers beating Livingston 1-0 in the Scottish. Oh, I thought it was a cup game. It is actually the Scottish Premiership. If you go over and click the table, there they are sitting somewhat comfortably at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Closest rivals behind them is Celtic, as expected. Now, if we go back a step and look at Kimar Roof, I'm actually going to wait for that to load up because that seems like it's going to take a little bit of a time. So we can keep this one on. Actually, let me go back over here until Kimar Roofs. I can see that it's finally loaded. So let me pop back over. Here it is. See, I hate these things. Okay, let's scroll down and so you guys can see what I'm talking about in relation to Kamar Roof, who can probably give you an understanding as to why he has not been included in the current squad announcement for our upcoming string of fixtures. So I think the main one that you can focus on is the knock. And I say the knock, I'm relating to his injury. As you can see, we're looking at his history record just so you can get a clearer understanding as to why he's not in the squad. So you can look here and across, you can see for the 2021 and 2022 season, recent injury came in December the 4th, 2021. So that was just last month. And he made his return January 10th, 2022. He was out for 37 days. Injury on that occasion is a knock. Might have been a slight knock, but obviously that had some sort of impact because that kept him out for a minute, didn't it? But what I like about Kimar Roof, the fact that he was not included in the current Reggae Boyz squad announcement, I think that one raised a few eyebrows. But what I like about what Kamar Roof did this past week is the way in which he approached the situation. Because I think these things can easily be blown out of proportion. And I'm in massive favor of how he handled his business. And I would love to see more of it from the rest of our camp. He stated in a recent Instagram post, after speaking with Coach Paul over the last few weeks regarding my fitness and availability for the upcoming fixtures for Jamaica, we decided that it would be best to miss out so that I can attend several important appointments to continue my recovery to get back to the 100% fitness. And I actually thought that that was all that's needed when a player, call it a key player in your squad or any player in the squad that usually gets a call up, regular call up, and they're no longer called up in a recent team announcement. Speculations can fly left, right, and center, and I'm in massive support of the way in which Kimar Roof handled this. And I think in turn, what he did was he managed to just clear the air on his omission from the recent squad announcement. And if there were any speculation in relation to his commitment or lack of commitment, then he's definitely kicked that one out the park. Because what can you say? You can't argue with what he stated. And also, if you do pop over and you look at his injury record, you could see that for himself that, yes, what he has said in his Instagram statement in regards to taking some rest and pretty much make a slow comeback is a sensible decision. At this point of our campaign, I think it is pretty much safe to say that we do not want wounded soldiers because this is the busy end of our World Cup qualifying campaign. So I think Kimar Roof and Coach Paul Hall made a fantastic decision. Seemed like it was a joint decision to have him omitted from the team for the string of World Cup qualifiers that is pretty much just around the corner. Let me pop down and see what you guys are saying in your comment section so far. My bro is finally here. Finally get to see you on here. How are you? How is the little one doing? I haven't spoken to you in ages. I don't even think I've even managed to tell you Happy New Year. So happy belated New Year. I hope this year is better than all of your previous years. So guys, going back to Kamar Roof, as I've stated, what he did with utilizing his social media, maximizing his use of social media, I think that just pretty much, again, stifled out any potential speculation. And it also goes to show that he does respect the 12th man. He's engaged with what's going on around him. And clearly, our opinion matters. Whatever we think of him clearly matters. If he was the type of player that, had a bit of an ego or extra ego about him and didn't really care for the national side, then obviously you're more likely not to hear from him. But it is great to hear from Kimar Roof. Also, the huge emphasis with him being based overseas, because I think at times, whether it's intentional or unintentional, overseas players, I think, tend to get a little bit of a stick, especially when they're not in the team, be it for personal reasons or unknown reasons. They do get a little bit of added stick in comparison to the rest of our players. So that's great to see Kamar Roof coming out and clearing the air. The next player, actually, let me take a break and see what you guys are saying in the comment section before I continue, before I speed off, because I'm more than likely to miss out on something that you guys have said. Let's see. As the coach What will Paul Hall tell his players before they take the field? I'm going to come back to this, Warren. I think I might answer it during what I have to say. Maybe if I don't, then I will most certainly come back to this, but I think I might touch on it. Thank you for your question. Let's go down and see. Did you get the chance to hear the I did, Warren. I wasn't available to attend the press conference. I think this is the first press conference I've missed since the World Cup qualifications period begun, which is a little bit of a shame, really. But yeah, it just wasn't feasible to take part in today's press conference. But I will try my level best to be available at the next press conference. The boys seem to be in high spirit. I wish them all the best. I pray to God that will keep them all positive. Absolutely, absolutely. Lovely comment there, John. And yeah, I would definitely like to echo that. They do seem to be in high spirit. I think we're all pretty much on similar lines in terms of what I have to say when we look at the four players that I have picked out for our conversation. And this isn't scapegoating. So before anyone go off and saying that I'm scapegoating the players, I'm absolutely not. I think my reason for highlighting a few of these names will make sense as I navigate through my conversation later on. My problem is JFS should source more players. Roof will be missed along with Grant, but let's support who we have and hope we can get max points from this window. Absolutely, Warren. We most certainly will be needing maximum points. There's no room for error here. There's absolutely zero room for error, not even a slight room. No leg space. You know, sometimes if you are on the taller side of when you do travel, be it a short distance or a long distance via an airplane, and you don't have that extra leg room, you know how uncomfortable that can be. I am somebody who is obviously not that tall, but even for me at times it can be uncomfortable. We're pretty much in that position as things stand. I'm okay. I'm doing all right, Ravi. Thank you for your question. I'm doing all right. No complaints from myself. How are you? How is your week going? Do let me know. Big up yourself. Nice to see you on my stream. I hope you're having a pleasant week. And I do hope to see you again on further streams. Are you confident with Paul Hall? I'm gonna answer all of those questions. So I think I might as well start going through my conversations. Big up yourself, Travis. Nice to see you on here. Hope you're having a pleasant week. I'm just going to take down your comment very briefly, Travis, so that you guys can read what I have on screen. Right? And let me just go back and look at my players that I want to highlight. Go back over here. First player I want to highlight as well. Be interesting to hear what you guys think of this particular player. Kevin Stewart. What's everyone's thoughts on Kevin Stewart? Before I actually get into Kevin Stewart, I think I should backtrack a bit because I'm doing this completely wrong. Let me go ahead and read out the squad announcement, and then for those of you who have yet to hear the squad announcement, maybe you might have one or two things to say about the players who have been called up. So we have Amal Knight, Dwayne Miller, Andre Blake, Kevin Stewart, Damian Lowe, Albus Powell, Lamar Walker, Kimar Lawrence, Adrian Mariappa, Junior Flemings, Peter Lee Vassell, Devin Williams, Bobby Reed, Liam Moore, Andre Gray, Michael Antonio, Ethan Pinnett, Jevon East, Greg Lee, Corey Berg, Javane Brown, Daniel Johnson, and Ravel Morrison. If you guys want me to read that squad list out again at any point, do give me a shout, drop your thoughts or your requests in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and read that out for you again. Nice to see you on here, Richard. I gave you a little warm shout out earlier on as I locked on because you was actually the first person to comment over an hour ago. So massive shout out to yourself, and I hope that you're having a splendid week. I knew that there would be one. I'm going to read that out again for you. Just allow me to go back and look at Kevin Stewart. Do hang tight. I'm going to read that squad list out again for yourself. Thank you for joining my live, by the way. Hope you're having a pleasant. Someone just caught my eye. Pleasant evening. I don't know how you know this. Maybe I've mentioned this on one or two occasions, but or maybe you know me personally, but that is my parish, and I am very proud to be from St. Thomas. So maybe you know my birthplace, or maybe that's a lucky guess, or maybe you've heard me speak about it one or two times because I am proud. Okay, so let's pop over to Kevin Stewart. And the reason why I decided to bring up Kevin Stewart, aside from the obvious there, guys, obviously we're all pleased for Kevin Stewart. Fact that he's received his call up debut in the bag, World Cup qualifier debut in the bag also. If you go down, I've actually did this before and to save us some time. So we're going to be looking at his career stats for the 2021-2022 season. This will help you guys to understand the points that I have managed to draw up. If you can look back at the 2021 season, so this was on the 8th of the 7th of 2021. As you can see along here, guys, not in the squad. And you can see plenty of not in the squad. You've got the odd on the bench on a few occasions, but the bulk of his stats so far dating back from the 8th of the 7th, 2021. As you can see, it's a little bit worrying. There's plenty not in the squad all the way down to 2022. So you can look at the first of the 22nd of 2022, where he was on the bench. And this could probably explain, because this would have been to the 20 this would have been on Saturday. So last week Saturday he made the bench against Millwall, current club, in case some of you are wondering. Let's bring that up for you so that you guys can read it. There you go. Blackpool in the Championship. Now this one does bother me a little bit. Again, definitely pleased for Stewart. As you can see, if we pop back up here, you can see that he is no, you guys you can't really see it. Okay. I'll have to go back a step, but do trust my words on this, that some of the positives that comes with Kevin Stewart is that he is a utility player, someone that you can play at left back, centre back, but more purposefully, obviously you want to play him as a DM because that is his main position, defensive midfielder. So having him in the squad is a positive to an extent, because you can utilize him given the number of positions that he is able to play in. But again, guys, the one thing that does worry me is the fact that if you look on the screen, keep your eyes on the screen, mainly over here on your right hand side, it is a little bit concerning because, as I've said, you can count a few on the bench, but they are far and few. But the main concern here in terms of squad contributions, minutes under his belt, difficult to summarize how he is feeling in terms of full match fitness, because there are more than a handful of not in the bench. Now, I kind of worry for Kevin Stewart, and I'll go into a few further details later on in the stream. But the obvious one is, you don't need me to tell you, we do know what he's up against, being that he will be going up against one of our fierce rivals, that being Mexico, tomorrow. That would be Thursday if you are in Jamaica or elsewhere across the globe. Friday at 12 a.m. in the morning if you are based in the UK. He's going up against extraordinary circumstances. It's like, if he does manage to feature, he'll be pretty much going up against, again, like I said, fierce competitors. tough opponents, and he's also new to this. This is World Cup qualifying period. This is nothing that he's ever experienced in his career. So in some sense, he might find himself thrown in at the deep end, because it's one thing Coach Hall and his teammates explaining this situation to him, but until he's fully involved and being practical, he won't be able to fully understand what's going on. And that's not to question his intelligence at all. I think he might find himself, given what we know of Kevin so far in terms of fitness and matches played, matches, minutes under his belt, he might find himself in a sink or swim situation. And when you consider that, I think it could potentially be a high risk decision making from Coach Hall. And I think it's definitely one that's worth keeping an eye on. I did look back, and when said, I'm sure you guys are probably looking back at this and thinking, well, it does say not in the squad, but it doesn't give you the reasons as to why he's not in the squad. So I went a little bit further, and I did see that the most obvious injury here dated back from 2015-2016 campaign, where it says ankle injury. And he was out for 49 days, missed 9 games for Liverpool at the time. And I was thinking, well, it doesn't really give us any further updates in relation to injury. So again, I went a little bit further for you guys, because I wanted to have some form of deeper understanding as to what to expect from Kevin Stewart. So I went over and I managed to draft up a recent article. And you can see that it's quite recent. Let me give you guys a bit of proof, because we all love some proof. You can see that this is from January the 20th, 2022. So if we scroll down, the only bit that really matters to us, guys, is this bit right here. And I'll read that out just in case you cannot read it for yourself because of the font size. It says Kevin Stewart has continued to train and will be in contention to feature in the game at Bloomfield Road as he builds confidence following a recurrence of his ankle injury. And that's the bit that kind of raised a few eyebrows for me, because I'm thinking, ankle injury, the only one that I can see based off data available is this ankle injury here. Again, this dates back from 2015 to 2016. So I'm thinking that must have been some injury. That could have been a career changing injury if we're talking about keywords right here, guys. Reoccurrence of his ankle injury. I'm thinking straight away off the top of my head, as somebody who is an Arsenal fan, I'm thinking this is a bit like Diaby, when Diaby suffered that nasty injury, and from there his career was pretty much never the same. Not saying that that's likely to happen to Kevin Stewart. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but there is a bit of a raised eyebrow there for Kevin Stewart, and I'm a little bit concerned for him. 3 of you are saying to come back again. Whelan, come again. I'm kinda assuming that you're talking about the squad announcement, right? I'm gonna read out that squad announcement for you again. Let me just scroll down. Do the Reggae Girls follow the boys closely? I was pleasantly surprised by the mixture of JA and US accents of the girls, but few Brits accents. Surprising difference to the boys. I assume so, yeah. When there's games on, I definitely see the Reggae Girls tuning into the Reggae Boys game, vice versa. I think that the support is there. I think it's a fairly balanced support for both the girls and the boys, if I do say so myself. And there is definitely I think there's arguably a wider variety of accents in the Reggae Girls camp compared to their male counterparts. But yeah, they definitely have more than a handful of girls playing in the English women's FA Super League, which is the top division of women's football in England. So good question there, Richard. Let me go through and see what you guys are saying. Mr. Bogle would like to have a word. Be careful, because he's an ignorant man. They call us the unruly parish for a reason. So be careful there, Warren. You don't want to wake him up. Big up to yourself, Mr. Galaxy. Thank you so much for joining my live stream. You haven't really missed much, if I'm honest with you. Just gonna take a brief moment. Let me know what you guys think of Kevin Stewart as well. There was a question thrown at Mr. Paul Hall in the press conference today I should say, and oddly enough, it did relate to one of the questions did relate to Kevin Stewart. And paraphrasing, there were a few speculations that Kevin Stewart hadn't arrived in camp as of yet at the time that the press conference was carried out. The press conference, I believe, was like 4 p.m. UK time. And I think we are 5 hours ahead of Jamaica. So go ahead and do the math depending on where you're based in the world. So at that time, it was stated that Kevin Stewart hadn't arrived yet, but by end of play, all players who hadn't turned up for camp for whatever the reason may be, personal or I don't know what the reason is, they would arrive by end of play. And that again depends on where they're traveling from. Is it a direct flight? Is it a stopover? I don't know, but Coach Paul Hall did state that any player who hasn't arrived yet will be arriving by end of play today. King Dad, that's an excellent question. I just want to win. I just want to win. I'm pretty sure I've said this a number of times. You guys know how I feel about Mexico and the United States. I don't want to lose against any team, but Mexicans and the Americans, I really do fancy 3 points. I always want 3 points. Draw, worst case scenario. In terms of tomorrow, I can't really draft up a accurate scoreline for a number of reasons, really. I could easily get ahead of myself and say that because we might just tap into that honeymoon period, that we might sail off into the sunset, but it's perhaps a little bit too soon for me to say that because the Mexicans are no pushover. And, yes, we are drumming up some positive vibration within our camp. And I think it's safe to say amongst the 12 man as well. But that alone won't be enough to beat the Mexicans, despite being on home soil. Let's see what you guys are saying. With Stewart injury struggles, that's why can't Grant would have been included in my team. That's why Grant would have been included in my team, but I'm going to give Paul Hall some latitude. Hope JFF would name a 26-man squad. Yeah, it is an interesting one. Like I said, again, given everything that I've gone through with his career stats, and when I say he, I'm referring to Kevin Stewart's career stats for the 2021-2022 current campaign. Also, the key injury here, yes, it is from the 2015-2016 season, but also when you pop over here and you hear reoccurrence of ankle injury, and you're hearing that he has continued to train and will be in contention, it kind of puts you in a position where you're possibly being made to question his full match fitness. How fit is he? This is nothing to do with the player's ability, obviously, but there are a few things there to think about. How do you compare contracts of football fan contract between and the I've heard people time and time again say that the passion isn't quite there on home soil. And when I say home soil, I'm obviously referring to Jamaica. It's an interesting one. I've spent the majority of my life based in London, so I can only speak on what I fully know of. So I'm going to lean on what I've been told about Jamaica football fans on home soil in terms of their passion. It seems as if you cannot compare the two. Wagoness, I think you can get wagoness anywhere. Soon as you're doing something good, that's when people start coming from left, right, and center, and you're looking and thinking, who are you? Where were you when we were in the trenches? So I think that wagoness mentality can exist at any given point, any corner of the world. I don't think it belongs to one set demographics. I think you can get that at any corner of the world, be it in Jamaica or even over here in the UK. When you've got the high flying Liverpool or your Manchester City, or back in the day your Manchester United or Arsenal or even Chelsea, how many people became wagonists of those clubs? So yeah, people tend to ride your wave when you're doing good. Mexico named a fairly young squad. They are gearing up for a pressure game. They definitely are gearing up for a pressure game. And I think our coach, Mr. Paul Hall, is pretty much aware of that. I think he's more than aware of that. He's been here himself as a player and also as the assistant. So he has bags of experience on his side. So that's something that I'm pretty sure he would have discussed with the players already. Oddly enough, or I should say funny enough, it's almost as if you might have heard the press conference, Warren, and even if you haven't heard it, you've touched on something that Coach Paul Hall touched on, and that's pressure. I like to paraphrase in relation to pressure, because you did touch on it there, Warren, that Paul Hall did touch on pressure, but quite rightly so. He says that it's healthy pressure. And I think when you take those two words and you analyze them, this is somebody who fancies himself. He believes in himself. And if you're going to have a new gaffer come through the door, be it somebody who is on an interim short-term basis, or somebody who's on a full-time employment, they have to believe in themselves. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then those around you definitely won't be believing in you. So I think the belief most certainly starts from the gaffer himself, and you've seen that definitely within his first press conference some weeks ago. I feel like it was a few months ago, where he introduced himself to the media and to the Jamaican fan base. You could see that sense of pride. And again, Paul Hall is not no ordinary coach. He is a former reggae boy, ex-reggae boy, a legend in his own rights, been there, done that. But you can evidently see that visible sense of pride, again touching on healthy pressure. He knows what this means. If no other coach in the world knows what this means, to take the boys on a journey and achieve the unthinkable, Mr. Coach Paul Hall definitely knows exactly what it means. And I love the fact that he is trying to be as transparent as each other. Again, it's almost as if we're all on the same lines, reading from the same book. I'm thinking the pressure is there. I'm part of the 12th man. Warren is saying pressure. Other people in the comment section are saying pressure. People who are watching are thinking the pressure is on us. This is no easy team. It's Mexico. And to hear the interim head coach come out and say that yes, there is pressure, that tells you that he's not here to mask over any inconsistencies that we might have or any weakness that we might have. He's not really here for that. He's here to try and give clarity and clearness in every which way possible. So yeah, it's great to hear him touch on pressure. I quite like that, because I think he was just trying to be as realistic as possible. Big up yourself. How are you? I hope your day's doing good. Where are you based? You look like you're based in the UK. You've got like a little bit of a UK look about you. Don't ask me what that means. Just know that it is, I mean well by that comment. The gaffer gives some confidence of getting results. Yeah, he does. Absolutely. And I think what he's trying to do as well is that he has found himself in a position where he has his hands in many different pots. He's trying to take care of his backroom staff. He's trying to take care of his players, and also at the forefront of his thinking, it's very clear that he's also trying to cater to the 12th man. And the only way he can do that is by going out there and getting those all important results, especially the ones that are deemed unimaginable. So again, that's great to see, because it does fill us all with confidence. He touched on the 12th man, and it's nice to be remembered when you're doing a manager, head coach, or whoever it might be, doing a press conference, and they're not just focused on the team, and they're also focused on the 12th man. It kind of gives you that sense of belonging, that what, he's not only thinking about his backroom staff, he's not only thinking about perhaps trying to impress his employers also bring his players on board, but he's also thinking of the 12th man. And I've already touched on the value of the 12th man and the impact that the 12th man can have in terms of helping a team to get over the line. And at times, arguably, they are equally as important as your starting 11 and those on the bench. So I don't have no bad words to say about Coach Paul Hall, because from the very first time I heard him speak as the interim head coach, I was like, okay, he's positive, and I think that's what we needed. I think there's too much toxic energy floating around, and I think he's had to come in and weed that up. And one thing I like about Paul Hall as well is the way in which he carries himself, and it's weird because people are only going to take you serious if you take yourself serious. Like, image is everything, it's your brand. Always people want to say that, famous saying, you have to look the part. And I think, when you look at managers like your Klopp or your Pep, they have a certain image to them, they have a certain brand. And even if you're not a fan of Liverpool, one thing that sticks out with a manager like Klopp is you will hear fans, even fans who are perhaps supposed to hate Liverpool, will say that they like the heavy metal because they like the way he carries himself. Similar to Pep, his image. Look at Scotty Parker, image does persuade people to believe in you. And with Paul Hall, you can see his image. It's clean cut. He's trying to give you that element of transparency, and so far you can only respect it because he is taking himself serious. Like I said, if you want people to believe in you, you want people to take you serious and not take you as a joke, then first of all, that starts with you. And I think when you consider that, he's definitely off to a positive start. I like his image. I like the way he carries himself. Again, for me, image is everything. Every single thing, be it whether you're a football manager or somebody that does a traditional 9 to 5 outside of sports, image is always everything. Let's go through these comments. I'll try not to. I can't promise. I will. Oh wow. Could you imagine if we managed to do that? Could you imagine? I'll be jumping for joy. Right on, the gaffer wish the fans in the stadium. Exactly, it's the power of the 12th man. Never be underestimated. The power of the 12th man, it's magical. And it's a bit of a shame as well that those at the top, the higher powers, if you want to call them that, the decision makers is probably the better word to frame them as. The decision makers, they don't seem to be on board, do they? Because they could have given us a limited number of tickets that could be distributed across the island, quite similar to what we had in the game against the United States. The players feed off energy. Everybody feed off energy. If you're doing a regular 9 to 5 and the energy isn't right, your morale unintentionally drops. So energy really is everything. Let me go back and see what Warren is saying. The pressure is on Mexico. I think they make a mistake. I hope the boys take advantage of it. For a player like Antonio as the leading striker, they can't. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. You guys can still see my screen, and if we look at Mexico, can we get the Mexico national team? I believe they're actually on a 2-game losing streak, guys, but let me just double check that for you because I don't want to actually tell you guys a lie. Can you guys see that? World Cup qualifiers. World Cup, there we go. USA beat them 2-0 back in November, and that was subsequently followed by a 2-1 loss against Canada. So they are actually they could potentially rack up a hat trick of losses. So they will be worried. There's no two ways about that. So when you talk about pressure is on Mexico, you are absolutely right. One, I know that they're not going to be coming to Jamaica and downplaying Jamaica because they know that we are their fierce rivals, and naturally the respect will be there. And one of the most damning thing you could do is underestimate your opponent. When you underestimate someone or categorize them as the underdog, usually that typically comes back and backfires, and you walk away with absolutely nothing. So as I've stated, again, we pop over here, you can see that they are on a a losing streak. This is in terms of the World Cup qualifiers. Yes, you can see there was a 2-2 draw there back in December. This, however, was an international friendly against Chile. But in terms of what really matters, World Cup qualifiers looking a little bit shaky over there in the Mexico camp. So I'm pretty sure that they would want to turn things around. So we do have to be wary of that as well. But I think at this point it is fair to say that the pressure is there for both teams. I personally think that we should have beaten them first time around when we just kick-started our World Cup campaign. In actual fact, in hindsight, I said it then and I'll say it now. I actually think that we beat ourselves as opposed to Mexico beating us. And that's not to sound biased. I think we shot ourselves in the foot towards the end of the game, and Mexico pretty much capitalized on that, and rightly so. So hopefully this time round we're not going out there and making schoolboy errors, because this isn't schoolboy football. This is World Cup qualifiers where we've got that experience bulk of players who have been here before, been in this position before. Hopefully they would have learned from the past and know that they have to go out there and give an incredible account of themselves and stop making costly errors, because at this point, as I've said before, there is no room for error at this point. There wasn't room for error when we started off the World Cup qualifying campaign, because that is the reason why we're in this position. But most certainly right now, there is definitely no room for error. We're going with a 3-1 Jamaica. Wow, I would pray on this. Imagine if this one happened. That would be absolutely incredible for the history of Jamaican football. Nothing quite better than beating one of your rivals. It gives you that extra element of pride. I won't go as far as to say bragging rights, because really and truly there's nothing there to brag about. Perhaps you can brag if you manage to qualify for the World Cup, but beating Mexico, I'll just leave it as an element of pride as opposed to bragging rights. We will win Antonio in the 37th minute and the midfielder in the 72 minute for us. Well, Jermaine, I'm not going to argue with that one, my friend. That sounds quite fair to me, if you ask me. We need to win tomorrow. Absolutely, Karumi, without a shadow of doubt. I've said this on a few number of occasions that it's not a matter of us going into those games seeking to get a draw, because a draw, you know what could happen? Anything happens if that game goes into added minutes. All it takes is one error. And we've been known for making one or two errors. Again, beating ourselves. We cannot manage to go into a game that's so pivotal to us qualifying for the World Cup and say that, you know what, I fancy a draw. You fancy a draw and you go out there and you beat yourself and you make a costly error. Make no two ways about it that Mexico are more than likely to capitalize and walk away with another 3 points, and we don't want that happen. Personally, I don't think that they deserved the 3 points the last time round, but in hindsight, when you look at how we played and how we carried ourselves, fair play to them. They saw an opportunity and they took full advantage of that, and you can't be mad at them for that. Win or go home, or in this case win and stay home, because you'll be back at the office, so you might as well put your feet up on the desk and let your hair down if that's the case. But I'm definitely with this. For me, I'm most obviously, like everyone in the comment section and everyone who's tuning in, I'm obviously siding towards win and go on, as opposed to win or go home. Well, it's up to the Reggae Boyz to put a stop to that, isn't it? At this point, you know, Coach Paul Hall, he can have 101 million formula to beat the Reggae Boyz, but essentially it's all about the people on the pitch and the people on the bench. Sadly, those people are not Coach Paul Hall and his backroom staff. It's solely down to the players. So it's one thing Paul Hall coming in and speaking so positive, and he believes in himself, but the players need to speak positivity amongst themselves, and they need to go out there and give an incredible account of what they're truly made of. So, you know, Paul Hall might be drumming the right vibration for us, giving us that element of confidence, but now it's over to the players. The players have to go out there and do the nasty work and Make us feel proud. Give us something to sing and dance about. Karumi, I'm gonna make note of your question. I'm just trying to whiz through. I'm just wary of my power. I think I might have to plug this one in for you guys, because I don't want it to die. Karumi, I am making note. Let me actually take a picture of your comments so I can go back, because I'm actually trying to go through as many comments as I can without wasting too much of you guys' time. Greg Lee on the left back. Are you I'm sorry to laugh. No, I am not. Hopefully, one day I will be. I say hopefully, but I don't know. I don't know. My future kids, they probably hate football, which will be heartbreaking for myself. But they probably won't have no interest in football. But hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be. Mariappa right back. Mariappa right back. Really? Seems like you're drumming up your team sheet. Mariappa right back. Why not go for Javane Brown at right back? Guys, feel free to fire away your team sheet. Get in a draw. Absolutely nothing, Kurumi. Absolutely nothing. I'm not interested in draws. I have enough draws at home. Plenty of draw. I don't want no more draws. I want a win. That's all I want. So I'm not really interested. Thank you for that. And I know exactly what you mean for with your question. But at this point, no, I don't want no draws. Never want to draw against Mexico, anyways. So given the situation that we're in, given that it is now do or die, a draw is not something that will work in our favor, in my opinion. But I can't predict the future. 3-0 Jamaica. You guys are feeling quite positive. I think Paul Hall's charm is working on you. That's great to see. The last game ref made the biggest. It wasn't an error, it was intent. I am not going to let him get away with that. There was no error. It was absolutely intentional. In my opinion. I don't think that there was no mistake on his behalf. I'm still a little bit bitter with that. I kind of wish you hadn't reminded me, because I was in the stadium. I know you're referring to the game against USA on home soil, our last game of the 2020-2021 calendar year. So I think he absolutely meant that with his decision making. It's refreshing to have a coach who is not shying away from the media and the public. He has handled himself, pose a class. Hope his temperament will settle the nerves. Hopefully, I think it's refreshing because we kind of feel like we're getting some element of transparency. Usually, in the past, we have seen questions being thrown at our gaffer and the response perhaps isn't what you're searching for. It's just like one word. You can't really do much with it. Kind of feel a little bit secretive. Kind of feel like they've got their cards quite close to their chest even when they don't need to be. With Paul Hall, it seems quite open and honest, and I can only hope that we're right about that, but only time will tell. Good night to yourself, Devin. I hope you've had a pleasant week so far, and best of luck for the rest of the week. Thank you. I have actually gone. Yeah, I didn't even notice, but yeah, I did. I like going for bright colors, so thank you. That was completely unintentional. They're usually my summer colors, but yeah, I do like bright colors. He's your brother. God bless him. He's living in an expensive city. I don't know what your brother's financial situation is like, but I hope that he's stable and well because this is an expensive city. I'm pretty sure you know that already. Yes, it is available for this window, but it kind of makes you a little bit miserable, doesn't it? Because it should have been available from the start of the World Cup qualifying campaign. It would have come in handy in our game against the United States. So whilst I'm happy that VAR is available, at the same time I'm kind of looking at it from the side, from the corner of my eye, like, really, at this point, midway through the World Cup qualifying campaign, when 3 points would have been so pivotal for us. Yeah, remains to be seen as to whether VAR will be utilized in the right and proper way. Did you have a cup of coffee? Because a lot of us won't get much. Warren, is that your way of telling me to speed it up, Warren? Say no more. Say less. Let me go back onto my list, Warren, and look at the next player that I want to talk about. And it's someone we reign from the same parish. And if I say that and you know me well, then you will know that I'm speaking about Mr. Albus Powell. Um and I was quite, let me pop over and look at Albus Powell so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Albus Powell, here we go, guys. I was pleasantly surprised when I looked at Albus Powell's again. Let me see if I can get this up so you guys can see what I am referring to with Albus. So there we go. We're looking at the 2021-2022 season. He's now at FC Cincinnati. He was previously at Philadelphia Union. So much of this that you're going to see in terms of data available, you're actually going to be seeing when he was playing for Philadelphia Union. And as you can see there, the only thing that really matters towards the end is a few hamstring injuries that he's picked up during that he's actually had to nurse during 2021. So again, going back to what I previously stated, in terms of wanting to have the best soldiers available. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky for Albus Powell, because you don't need me telling you in terms of having that soldier mentality. I don't think it's something that you can question with Albus Powell. We've seen it actually from the Gold Cup and also in the World Cup qualifiers as well, where his body physically cannot continue, but he's trying his level best to continue and see out the game. Subsequently, I think on both occasions he was subbed off, if I'm not mistaken. But going back again, in terms of injury record, if you check out his injury record, it's not actually as bad as once feared if you look at the two most recent years, so that being 2021 and 2022. My only disappointment where Alvis is concerned, and I'll go into that, but before I tap into that, let's look back at a game that I discussed back in December, and I actually live stream this game for you guys round about the time that it was shown on air. I did a live stream, and it would have been for the Eastern Conference final against New York City. And if you look at this one, just to give you guys a bit of reassurance, this one was this write-up from the Philadelphia News website. This was dated on Sunday, the 5th of December, 2021. As I said, I did give you guys a live stream. And if you managed to watch that live stream, you probably know what I'm about to say. If you didn't watch the live stream, obviously you'll be obviously, you might not know that the trio of Jamaicans who played for Philadelphia Union at the time, the trio being Albus Powell, Andre Blake, and Corey Burke. Unfortunately, our trio of Jamaicans missed that final. And I think you could argue that had they played, especially with Blakey in goal, the Wall himself, perhaps they would have gotten the upper hand against New York City. But looking back at that game, just to remind you all, Philadelphia Union at that time, guys, they were without 11 players, including 6 starters for the Eastern Conference final against New York City. And just to remind you all, that was as a result of MLS COVID-19 protocols. So they were missing. So going back to what I was saying about Albus Powell, that is the reason. So this would have been last game for should have been last game for Philadelphia Union. If you pop back over here, you can see it's probably not going to show it up. It's not going to show it up, but let's keep this on here for Philadelphia Union. And bearing in mind the date for that one, again, 5th of December, early December, call it early December. I think it would have been beneficial had Albus Powell got some minutes under his belt against Peru. Obviously, now there's no point crying over spilt milk, because there's nothing we can do about that. We can only look to the future. and see how he plays, if he's managed to call into action, be it from the starting 11 or coming on from the bench. Okay, let me stop for a second. I wouldn't even know what to say, Warren. I'll be fumbling over my words. I'll be absolutely stuck, just stuttering. Travis says Elvis is more experienced than Brown, but Brown is more capable. That is it, Travis. That is it. You're talking about experience and capability. I can see why you would say that Brown is more capable based off what we have seen from Brown, and also based off what we know of Albus. And I think it's safe to say, no disrespect to Albus, that we've not seen the best of him recently. You can sit here and say arguably that is to no fault of the player. Again, his injury record is not as bad as once feared, but I think there's probably deeper reasons as to why we've not seen the best of Albus Powell. But moving along, I can see that there's somebody in my studio. I'm about to bring them up, but before I do that, let me just go through the comments. Before I do that, why don't you go to okay, so you do understand that London is a very expensive. Now imagine traveling from London to Jamaica on a direct flight. Okay, that's like, I'm sure that's about, my last trip was about 9 hours, if I'm not mistaken. 9-hour flight. Yes, it's a long flight, but what hurts me more than the flight is the cost that it takes to get to Jamaica. And it doesn't even matter if it's peak season or off peak season. I get that we have one of the best countries in the world, but you shouldn't really be charging us an arm and a leg. Can you imagine when you have to fly over for emergency reasons, be it to bury a loved one? The ticket alone will scare you off, right? So yeah, love my country, but it is way too expensive to travel year in, year out. And I feel for people who want to go home but just can't simply afford it. Let me take a quick break, guys. There's a few other stuff that I want to talk about. So far, just to go over, we've given a shout out to Kimar Roof, and rightly so. We've also touched on Kevin Stewart, Albus Powell. I'm also going to be touching on 2 more players. We've also touched on Paul Hall's press conference. But before I go any further, thank you all, by the way, if you've hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, do go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Massive thank you to each and every one of you who have tuned in. Now, let me remind myself of my manners and bring someone in onto the stream. It's good to put a name to the face. So let me take something off for a minute. I'm going to stop the screen share, guys, just so I can bring them on properly. So do bear with me. Let me just line something up. Remove the screen share, or I should say stop screen share. And okay, let's see. Richard, how are you?
Greetings, Crystal. Greetings, viewers and subscribers. I am in scintillating form, full of anticipation of the forthcoming match. The butterflies are butterflying, and it's lovely to be here. Lovely to see you, Crystal. And may I congratulate you. I wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate you for the way you conduct Tallawah TV. Decorum, style, cool, calm, collected, knowledgeable, a voice of reason, and we salute you in the vlogosphere.
Thank you. So absolute, yeah. You've got a habit, just like the rest of my subscribers. You guys have a habit of spoiling me and putting a smile on my face, even when I'm going through some of my toughest days. People like yourself definitely brighten up my day. So thank you so much for your kind and warm words, and I'm pleasantly pleased and proud to see that I'm making a positive difference. So hopefully long may it continue. And definitely it's an absolute pleasure being able to put a face to the name. Sometimes I go through the comment section, I'm just like, what does this person look like? Would love to speak to them in person because of the energy that they give off. So it's an absolute pleasure being able to put a name to your face.
Give thanks and praise. Give thanks and praise. I joined the proverbial Jamaican bandwagon or juta bus in the early stages of the recently of the most recent Gold Cup. I think
Mm-hmm.
they just finished playing Suriname, and it was in the unfortunate backdrop of the Three Lions debacle, when, of course, the players such as Rashford and Sancho took a hell of a beating in social media, and then I then decided to look further afield. What prospects or
Yeah.
alternatives do players of color uh, have? And I said, let me check out Jamaica, and it's been the mother of all rides. It's been it's been laden full of drama, Crystal. So to see someone such as yourself in the vlogosphere, it's fascinating. And how you keep your cool and calm, because the key thing I had on my mind today, Crystal, was relationships. Relationships. What's your take on how Jamaica, the JFF, the fans, the press's attitude included, um, how they go about looking to recruit the cream of arguably the best crop of talent Jamaica has ever had? It's a cut and thrust game at the heart of it, football, and sometimes it could be a case of use and abuse. If you're useful today, you may not be useful tomorrow. But what's your take on scouting talent, maybe giving them a cap or two just to lock them down for Jamaica? Gav Southgate has been doing something similar. Do you think relationships, forming effective, constructive relationships where the use and refuse and use and abuse kind of feeling is not pushed forward? Speak.
That's quite interesting, particularly with the opening stuff that you said in terms of being calm and collective. I work in football. I write also for the Voice newspaper, the Voice newspaper being the only Black Afro-Caribbean paper in the UK. I've had the pleasure of going to games up and down London. I've done League Cups, FA Cup, Premier Leagues. I've even gone to a World Cup. So I've been in male dominated space pretty much since I graduated from uni. Actually, before I graduated from uni. So whilst I was awaiting my degree, that's when I was able to go to my first Premier League game. So I've been in male dominated space. I've worked in a niche area. And I think it's only recently where I really start to recognize the importance of energy and that people feed off energy massively. So in terms to my with my brand and my platform, I've said to myself, as much as I am part of the 12th man and I share the same beliefs and the same passion as everyone in my within the fan base, at the very same time I have to realize that I'm not just like somebody who is in the comment section. I'm somebody who is visibly sharing my opinion. So when I come on screen, I cannot come on screen and have a straight face or I'm just filled with anger all the time, because one thing about that is I have to also remind myself that I am young, I'm black, and I'm female. And what happens when a black woman shows anger, they are known as the angry black woman. So I also have to remind myself that one, I'm doing this for myself. I'm also doing it for the next generation of young black women or young women who want to come into the space. But more importantly, I'm trying to create a platform that is positive, a platform that people can come and, you can just find calmness or just be you. Nobody wants to switch on their TV or their laptop or bring on their phone and just see someone looking all angry and miserable. And that is one of the reasons why I say to myself that I don't, as a journalist or as a reporter, I don't dig too deep or as deep as I should when it comes to the reggae boys or the reggae girls, because again, I am part of the 12th man. And I know that if I dig too deep, what will happen is I will find a bit of information that would upset me, and then my emotions will start to shine through. So again, I think for me, I'm at that point where it's just about measuring your emotions, learning how to monitor your emotions if you want to give off that positive energy that you speak of. So that's the reason why I do what I do. It takes some adjusting. I've not always been like this. I'm still young, so I'm learning. So yeah, it's just I've realized that, you know, if I'm in a good mood and I walk into a room and I'm smiling, chances are somebody's likely to smile back. You'll be miserable to have someone smile at you and you keep a straight face. It's just like, really? Even if you're having a bad day and someone says something like, how are you, and smiles back at you, that does something for you. You know what they say, some of the most costly things in life doesn't come at a price. There's no price tag attached to that. It doesn't cost me nothing to smile and interact with people. So that's why I do what I do. In terms of the scouting, I think that you will know this, and the people in the comment section, you will know that we're far too reactionary as a foundation, as a federation. We almost wait until the last minute before we take actions. And at that point, when you say last minute, you're thinking drastic actions, sheer desperation. And by then, you're left scratching your head and you're thinking, well, if we don't go and grab a player like your Mason Holgate, who I, by the way, interviewed about a year ago, again for the Voice newspaper, and he said this was a game, West Ham versus Everton. Nice lad, by the way, Mason Holgate. And I said to him, you know, would you like to play for Jamaica? And paraphrasing, it wasn't a subject that he shied away from. He said, you know, again paraphrasing, that they have not spoken to him about that, but it's a conversation that he would be more than keen to listen to. And at that point, I'm pretty sure people in the federation have heard about Mason Holgate because I've placed Mason Holgate in front of them in press conferences. And now you're looking and you're thinking, so what's going on with Mason Holgate? Yes, you can argue that we might not need a player like Mason Holgate given the position, but if you're looking at wanting to be one of the superior teams within your region, and I mean truly superior, not just based off quality, truly superior in terms of domination and what you do on the pitch, you have to have players stacked up in a number of positions. That's why you see a club like Manchester City operate in the manner that they do. When you see Manchester City, there was a time actually not so long ago where I'm seeing Manchester City buy players left, right, and centre, and I'm saying, why are you doing that? You already have a starting 11 and a solid bench. But no, there's nothing greater than squad depth. Because when you change player A from player B, there shouldn't be that much of a difference. It should be like for like, or if not, player B should come on and give such a vibrant energy that you look at player A and say, oh, you might not want to slip because player B might just take your position. So the fact
Competition
that
for places,
absolutely, that's how you keep healthy
not
competition
the
for
drop
places.
off.
So the fact that I'm not really hearing nothing about your Mason Holgate, and there's a long list of potential English players, English-based players, I should say, who can play for us, and they're not really doing anything. They're just scratching their heads, waiting for a moment. You put yourself in a position where, again, you are very unserious. Because me as a player, please do not come to me when I am in the Premier League. If you knew about me when I was in League One or the Championship, if you did not show no interest in me when I was essentially a nobody, please don't come to me when I am a somebody. It's all about a show of appreciation. I'm not really sure if there is a scouting network there, because it seems as if it's a, what do you want to call it? In terms of acting, it seems a bit of improvisation going on.
My
Oh, I've heard that the
goodness.
bloggers have said this, or I heard the newspaper have said that, so let me go and track them down. Like, where is the foundation? It just feels like you're improvising. And that's the reason why I think we find ourselves in the same position over and over again, because the building blocks is just wobbly. You cannot stand firm on a building block that is shaky. It's inevitable that you will fall. So that's the way I look at the foundation. You know, respect to the foundation, because you can't disrespect the foundation, because would you like the foundation to disrespect you? No, nobody wants the foundation to disrespect them. The federation to disrespect them, or even Paul Hall as well. So Rick's respect each and every player, or each and every head coach, the whole unit, including the 12th man that makes up this process or progress that we're trying to develop. But sometimes, you know, you have to answer a question as truthfully and as honestly as possible, and hopefully I've done that on this occasion.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. You've hit the nail on the head. Is it a fine dividing line? I did hear you pick up on what you just said. You said that if the Jamaican Football Federation, I think they've got one particular scout, Mr. Clark, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what his credentials are, but apparently he is one of the scouts. But yes, it can come across as a bit ad hoc and coming off the back of the database provided by the likes of Cataract and Devon Porter, for example. But you said that if a player is in the Premier League and has not been approached, uh, we could be giving the example of someone like Ethan Pinnock, but if they've not been approached while they've been plying their trade in the lower divisions, you suggest that they should feel free to give the proverbial brush off of the shoulder. Do
Not
you think?
necessarily
No,
not necessarily to cut you off, but not necessarily a brush off, because quite often when players are placed in that position, people are quick to say, why don't you come and play for us? You have an attitude, you don't want to play. What you have to understand is put yourself in the player's position.
go ahead,
Why
go
weren't
ahead.
you knocking on my door when I was in League One or in the Championship? Now I'm in a position where I could potentially play for a different country. It doesn't necessarily have to be England. It could be a Germany, it could be a Spain, just as examples, right? And you know what comes with playing for those superior countries, and that's not to downplay the pride that comes the pride that you get when you play for Jamaica. But you have to understand that with football, a lot of them, they have a short shelf life. All it takes is one bad injury. So when the player is in that position where they're playing in a Premier League, arguably the biggest league in the world, and a superior country comes knocking, naturally they're going to turn their attention to that because of all the benefits that comes for it. And also you have to think, again, put yourself in the player's position. What would you do when players are making a decision on going to play for XYZ club? They're not making that decision off their own back. They're making a decision, one, for their playing career, and they also have to think about their family, be it their missus and their kids and so on. So it's a collective decision that they have to make. That's why they have representative and their agent that goes around. If they've got kids, they go and they scout the area, look at the demographics in that area, see which school is best for the kid, see which club is best for the kid. For the country, it's no different. What's best for you? And also for your mentality, for your mental well-being, what's best for you. This is why I say that I'm not a fan of airing out our dirty laundry as a fan base, because if I'm in the Premier League and I'm hearing that Jamaica wants me, and I do a quick Google search to see what the 12 man is like, and I'm hearing toxic comments left, right, and center, I'm saying I want nothing to do with that, because that's too negative for my well-being. Yeah, so that's the reason, that's the way I look at it. So when I see that maybe a player might not want to come, before I might think, like, how dare you? And that's natural, because that's the love that you have for your country. But sometimes you have to put yourself in these players' position and say, well, actually, there could be some reasonable explanation as to why you might say, let me wait, or turn around and say to JFF, why do you want me now? You're well within your right to ask that question.
I'd feel so. I'd feel so. It's interesting what you're saying about the player and JFF type relationship. Are you familiar with the recent Shamar Nicholson situation?
I've seen it, and I've stayed clear of Shamar Nicholson, because the reason why I stayed clear was because I heard personal reasons. And once I hear personal reasons, I think, it's wise to just stay clear of that situation, because it will be wrong or foul of me to drum up my own assumption and say, again, why don't you want to play for your country? He's shown time and time again that he wants to play for his country. If the reason is personal and he doesn't feel comfortable to explain his personal reason, he's well within his right to do that. There comes a time where people have to remind themselves that for football is their 9 to 5. There will be times where you face certain ups and downs at work, and you don't want to go into certain details of your co-workers or external contacts, and you say you're unavailable for personal reasons. Your co-worker or your external contact can't turn around and say, give me those reasons. What are those reasons? The reason is personal. So you have to sit and wait until Shamar Nicholson stands up and says, this is my reason. But, again, people do look at it differently. But I am in the known of what you're referring to. But like I said, I saw a personal reason, and I said, given the circumstance, given the fact that we're still maneuvering through a pandemic, you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I say to myself, you know what, on this occasion, it's best to just leave that conversation alone, because you don't know what personal reason could be. Personal reason could be in relation to a loved one. It could be anything. It's not just the arrogance of saying, I'm now playing for a big club in Russia, so I don't need to go for my country. It's definitely not that. And I don't know Shamar Nicholson, but I can almost bank my last pound to say that that can't be the reason. It must be something other than people's speculation and so on.
Chris, it would be interesting to see what the viewers and subscribers in the comment section are saying as
It would be.
we're
They've
going.
been quite quiet. I hope I'm not boring them to death, but it would be interesting if they could go ahead and let me know what they think on what we have said so far. Let me just look at my notes before I continue, or before we continue our conversation. At some point, I'm going to have to plug in this Mac. So if I go through my notes again, guys, we've so far spoken about Kimar Roof. We have touched on Albus Powell. Next player on my list actually is Mr. Peter Lee. But before I continue, Richard, is there anything else that you'd like to say?
Just wanted to get your feedback, because I don't want to mess with your program at all. You are very dexterous and very fluid in your presentation style. I salute you once again. Could I take the opportunity to just check on how you compare the noise, quote unquote, and drama that surrounds all things Reggae Boyz, and compare and contrast it to the English game? You've touched on something which has been pretty front and center as far as I'm concerned, but it doesn't get too much airtime, and it's the drama. It's the drama that goes around recruitment and the recriminations around the JFF, and how appealing that is, potentially, or not appealing, to certain players who are interested in being spoken to and looking to represent Jamaica. And of course, going back to what we were saying about the Three Lions, given the social fallout with all the racist barbs and slurs, how appealing and appetizing is it, in your opinion, to represent Jamaica? I think it's a great opportunity, but given the noise, given the drama that you are very wise to circumnavigate, how appealing is it? It's very hard to dampen it down, but from a PR perspective, I think, there are certain bridges that need some serious mending. So what part do you think the vloggers, for example, can play? Because a lot of the fans, me included, have gotten lots of our information on all things Jamaican football from the vlogosphere and many of the platforms that do a terrific job. But sometimes there are certain fallouts, and the JFF themselves, in actual the bread and butter of recruiting players, have, as you said, looked to do an ad hoc type job. How do you compare that to the fallout and how it looks to represent England compared to representing Jamaica?
Interesting, that one. First of all, I think that Jamaica is a brand in itself. Be it track and field, football. If you want to go a little bit wider, you can look at cricket, who with the West Indies, who wouldn't want to be part of brand Jamaica. Be it in a Olympics, Summer Olympics, or Winter Olympics, people knows the pride that comes with putting on the black, green, and gold. So to say to someone, come and play for Jamaica, you don't really need to do much persuading. All you need to do is make sure that your house is in order, because every single federation and every single clubs have their dirty laundry. It's just how they show their dirty laundry. There's skeletons left, right, and center. There's issues up and down at every single club that you can think of. It's just about how the players, whether or not those issues will have an impact on the players' well-being and their confidence and so on. Obviously, if you're in the background and you're toying around with one's payment, again, football is your 9 to 5, and you're not paying me, that might have an issue on my well-being. Because look, football is my 9 to 5, so I need to feed my family. And I'm not being funny, but if somebody's doing a job, you want to be paid for it. Who wants to do labor and not be paid for it? Absolutely no one. And the footballers are no different. People can sit here and argue and say, but he's on thousands of pounds or thousands of dollars. So what? Would you work for free? So you have to think of, one, I don't think nobody in their right mind would say no to brand Jamaica, but what does brand Jamaica mean within the context? So in the context, we're looking at football. What does brand Jamaica look like for football? How do you look internally and externally? And for us to look great externally, we first need to look good internally. Because as they say, you are what you eat. Whatever you put in is what you give out. So that's the way I look at it. When you do a bit of a toss up between England and Jamaica, I think it's pretty safe to get into what you should expect when you play for a England or a Jamaica. And you quite rightly alluded to the all important matter that occurred back in the summer at the Euros. In the final, where three black players, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, and Jadon Sancho, missed important penalties, and you saw the backlash that comes from that. I can probably put my head on the limb here and say that if you play for Jamaica and you miss, dare I say you miss a penalty, I don't think you're going to receive similar backlash. I just can't see it happening. I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm just saying I can't see it happening because I've not seen it happen before. And I do think that as bad as things are within our region, we do believe in out of many one people. So there's no way we're going to turn around and abuse a player because of the color of their skin. I can't see that happening. Yes, Jamaica has many, many faults, but it's not the worst in the world in terms of when you look at the magnitude of things, in terms of priority, what's important to you. Right now, I think in a pandemic and even beyond, one of the most important things for any player, any athlete, any normal person is your mental stability. Can you manage the pressure of playing for this country? Can you manage the pressure of missing a penalty? Can you manage the pressure of someone finding your loved one on social media and abusing them because you miss a penalty? Something so simple as a penalty. Can you go for Jamaica where things are a little bit up in the air, but you kind of know what to expect? You know there's an extent of what the fan base will and won't do. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, that is the way I would look at things if I was a player. And I actually quite like your question. Think you're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, no, thank you. Yes, I was on mute. So I wanted to make sure the floor is entirely your own. Absolutely. I do want you to continue your flow and answer any comments in the section. Have I got the opportunity to just give you a little poem?
You can most certainly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually give you the floor, and I'm going to make you big screen for this moment. Someone did. Is it Warren? Warren did say, I believe. Warren, correct. Apologies if I've got it wrong here, but I believe you did mention a poem. Right, there we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up Warren's lovely poem, and I'm going to give you the floor. Is that okay?
Well, Warren's not easy, you know. He's one of the doyens. He's one of the old school operators in the vlogosphere, and we salute the IMAX family. We salute the vlogosphere family. There was a poem. I've got a few, but there was one that particularly appealed to Warren and certain people. Though you know what, Crystal, you know, poetry is not for everybody. You know, so what's your take on poetry? Because there's been even the very use of language. I mean, the particular poem that I could recite, I did have another one, a little shorter version, a different poem. But when it comes to language, have you heard of Gronglish?
Gronglish.
Is that right, Warren? Is that right?
Pleasant, does it?
I tell you what. You know the Jamaican culture. There are certain cultures within cultures and language. I mean, this could be a topic that I think on a platform such as yours, we could actually tackle it on another occasion. But I'd be happy to talk off air with you about it. But suffice to say, language and terminologies don't necessarily go down the same way in England as they do in Jamaica. And if I recite one particular poem, you may get where I'm coming from. You may not. The choice is yours. I can recite the one that Warren was referring to, or I had one particularly with Jamaica in mind as they're going to kick off
what
tomorrow.
is the language like with either poem?
Nothing X-rated. I can tell
Nothing
you that, Crystal.
X-rated.
No, no, interesting. Are you familiar with the term getting behind the men?
Getting behind the men.
I was keen. I say keen. I'm keen on getting behind the guys, and encouraging them to do their best. Uh, anything wrong with that, Crystal?
I think
Getting
this
behind the
this one
guys?
this one's got me on the bit of the edge of my seat. I think I prefer to hear this one off air. I feel like this one's gonna catch me by a bit of a surprise. If I'm being honest, I might have to hear this one off air first before I let it go live because
Well,
it's got me on the edge of my seat. I
my
definitely can't
lord, my
deny that.
lord, I'm going to give you the PG of PGs without further ado. Hook me up, Crystal. This one is all above board, as the other one is, actually. I'm being a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but go ahead, ma'am. In your own time, Crystal. This is Tiddly Talk. Tiddlywink's line is consistent. His position is clear. Standing 4 square beside Jamaica. So vloggers, take care. I'm a roving reporter, striving only for truth. Sanitizing's not the sole duty of owners of the roof. With a banner of true pride, meeting challenges where they lay, asking questions, finding answers. I'm under nobody's pay. Head coach has the decisions. Fans and press can choose to support. All we ask, not unruly, is to know reggae boys and girls have truly fought. Jamaica, we stand full square beside and in front of you on your quest for Qatar and, get me now, beyond. We will support you through thick and thin, and the reason boss has got your back. Am I right? Thank you.
Well, I hope Warren is pleased with that one, though he did say it will be PG. I think I might have picked up on one or two things. So I hope Warren enjoyed that one. Let me just look at my time. It's just 6 minutes to 1 over here, guys. In the UK will be different, obviously, if you're based elsewhere in the world. But yeah, Richard, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on before I wrap up the show?
Not at this juncture. Not at this juncture. I'm more than happy to recite another poem now or going down the line. Entirely up to you. But I'm really wishing the Jamaican team all the best. Mexico will not be lying down. They have points that they need. They're under some pressure. It's not a vintage Mexican team, but I think from what I'm gathering, they'd be happy with a point. But if you snooze, you lose. And I'm imploring the Jamaican team, I'm imploring you, please remain switched on. You have the physique, you have the talent, you have the desire, you have the energy levels, you have the ability. Don't snooze. You snooze, and as you know, Crystal, if you snooze, you lose. We gave away a very poor opening goal against Peru, in my opinion. The ball, 2 headers inside the box. When we've got our big strapping guys, we should be dominating. We've got to switch on, be first to the ball, and leave it on the pitch. The hardest thing to do in football, in my opinion, is to score a goal, to find the back of the net. We need the guys switched on, cool, calm, and collected, and creating the opportunities with which we can pick up 3 points. Come rain or shine, we're behind you guys. We stand four square beside you. Go for it. Big up Jamaica. Land we love. Crystal,
Thank
thank you.
you, Richard. So there you have it, guys. Richard speaking about being the ultimate 12th man and getting behind the team. And I think that's the least you can do at this point of our World Cup qualifying campaign. It doesn't cost you an absolute, doesn't cost you a thing. Obviously, if you're trying to get to the games and fans are allowed in the stadium, then that's when it perhaps will cost you a thing. But at present, being that the majority of us, well, everyone, I should presume, if you are Reggae Boys fans, outside of the team setup, backroom staff and so on, you will be watching the game from home, perhaps in the comfort of your own home, or maybe with a friend, or maybe in live stream. But if you are definitely active on social media during the next three set of games, then do try to be the ultimate 12th man and bring some positivity to your players, because they can definitely make good use of it. So thank you, Richard. Thank you so much for jumping on my live, and it's great again to put a name, a face, I should say, a face to the name. I was wondering, Richard, always wondering what my subscribers look like. So it's great to put a face to your name. So I do hope that you enjoy. Well, we're going into a new day. We're already in a new day, aren't we, Richard? 3 minutes to 1 over here in the
Indeed.
UK.
Indeed.
So that simply means that we're one step closer to the weekend. So I hope you enjoyed the rest of your week. I hope that you kickstart that enjoyment with 3 points against Mexico. And I hope that you have a delightful weekend.
And you too, Crystal, viewers and subscribers, all the best. Let's give everything we've got. We can't be in the office, but our hearts, there it is, our hearts are with the boys. Our hearts are with the boys. And give it all you've got. Give it all you've got. We're proud of you. We're proud of you. Paul Hall, one and all, squad members, substitutes. Leave it on the pitch. Crystal, a pleasure. I look forward to reciting some more poems. Warren Webster, big up all the vlogosphere, big up, and thank you again, Crystal. You're doing an outstanding job. Don't change. Keep it real and be yourself. It's a winning ticket. Hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. Show the love and share this platform. It's a terrific, sober, intelligent, cool, calm, and yet passionate platform. And I salute. I'm a gunner, but you know what? Irrespective of that, big up, Crystal. Full respect, one love, and a pleasure being on the platform. Very cool and calm. I'm gonna have a cup of tea now and just chill out and see what I go on. Big up.
Do you try to have a cup of tea for both of us? I would love a cuppa actually. I might have one before I nip off the bed, so do try to have one for both of us. And again, just to echo what I've already said, thank you so much for joining me on my live stream. It's unexpected. I do usually over the last string of games of live streams, I've been putting the link to the stream down in the comment section, and I put it in there quite early on, so it's pretty impressive that you've picked up on that. I even forgot that it was in the comment section. So thank you for blessing me with your time, and again, I hope that you have a wonderful weekend when it comes.
Bless you, and you too, Crystal. We'll
you.
Meet again. Bless.
Absolutely.
Bless.
Thank you. Take care, Richard. Yeah, guys, that was quite a surprise. I was not expecting to see anyone on my live stream tonight. Big up yourself, Fresh. Fresh, I hope you're okay. You know how it goes. It's always a pleasure seeing you on here. And I see, let's see, got some. I see Torah. Wow, music to my ears there, Warren. Pleasure to be at your service. Warren, you said something about your team, Spurs, earlier on. I saw it at the corner of my eye and I lost it. I'm so sorry. I wasn't ignoring you. I'm pretty sure you did say something about Spurs. I might have to see if I can find what you said about Tottenham. Can't find it, or Warren. I'm sure you did say something about Tottenham though. Interesting. Can't find it in my comment section there, Warren, but I do apologize. If I manage to come across it, I will bring it up on my screen. Maybe my computer, my Mac just don't like Tottenham. Just maybe. So that's probably the reason why I can't find it. But let me go on so I can get this live stream wrapped up. Kimo, how are you? Big up Crystal. I just came from the Reggae Boys. How was it? How was the training session? Do let me know how the training session was. It's nice to see that you're being the ultimate 12th man for the team. So yes, guys, I'm gonna go back to taking off this comment. Chemo, I do apologize. I'm gonna remove your comment quite briefly. Also going to remove my heading so that I can show you guys my screen clearly. Who is up next? So yeah, Mr. Peter Lee. You all know how I feel about Peter Lee. Before I actually drafted up um his stats, career stats for the national side, I was like, when was the last time I saw Peter Lee? And in my mind, it felt like I've not seen him in well over a year. Thankfully, stats are there to give us a friendly reminder. And the last game that Peter Lee played in, you could see here, in terms of getting minutes under his belt, 3 minutes to be precise. Over here, you've got 3 minutes. He came on in the 2-1 lost against, coincidentally, Mexico, and that was obviously on Mexico home soil. And if you come up here, you could see other World Cup qualifiers, Costa Rica on the bench, not included in the rest of the games. If you come up here, you will actually have some faith in young Peter Lee. Numbers in terms number wise, in terms of minutes that he has managed to rack up over the years, you will see that's over 1,000 minutes in international friendlies. You don't really need me reading this out for you guys, but I think it probably makes life a little bit easier. International friendlies, you will see right there on the clock, we've got 597 minutes. CONCACAF Nation Leagues qualification, you've got 297 minutes. CONCACAF Nation League B, you have 118 minutes. In the CONCACAF 2019 Gold Cup, you have 160 minutes, and World Cup qualification so far is obviously the lowest with 3 minutes. Hopefully that will increase. And the reason why I chose to focus on Peter Lee, not just because I am in massive support of Peter Lee. Maybe I should go down and bring that up so we can all stay on the same page here, people. Again, you can look at the list of games in the World Cup qualifiers where he has not been included. Only game that really matters in terms of our analysis of this part of the conversation is against Costa Rica. He was on the bench, and against Mexico. Taken into consideration, sorry about that, guys, what I have already said about Peter Lee in terms of minutes that he has racked up in his relatively short international career so far, and the fact that he was included in our last outing against Mexico in the World Cup qualifiers at early doors. I think him having Peter Lee integrated into this point of the World Cup qualifying campaign, bearing in mind if you also go up, or I should say if I go up and you look at his stats right here, 18 caps, it says 6 goals, taking all what we've said, all that I've said about Peter Lee, him being integrated into the squad, potentially could get a full World Cup qualifiers debut. No better place to get that, guys, than on home soil. And if you look at his stats, this is a reason why I'm not moving off this page just yet. If you look at the stats again, focus on the minutes. He's got respectable amount of experience panning across a range of competition. The biggest one is obviously the World Cup qualifiers, arguably followed by the Gold Cup. So that basically means that he is familiar with the big occasion. He's been in competitive environments before, especially with a huge emphasis on this game against Mexico. For someone of his age and experience, this is something that won't come as a shock to him because he's probably had it worse. He had it when he was away against Mexico. Things are a little bit different on this occasion because, of course, we'll be playing against the Mexicans this time on home soil. So again, he is familiar with the environment. I think you could possibly make an assumption with his range of experience, minutes under his belt, and you can possibly put this in a low risk, high reward category. I think that he's a level-headed player, focused, good passer, and I think on his day or given the opportunity, also confidence in mind as well that he can split the opposition defense. Oh, really? You guys didn't see none of that? Well, okay, that was a bit silly of me. So let me go back. You guys did not see none of that. I wish I had. Okay, so let's go back, guys, very briefly, because it's a little bit unfair. I thought you guys could see my Peter Lee list. Where is it? A matter of fact. Peter Lee, let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is what I was talking about, guys, in terms of the international friendlies. You can see it. You should be able to see it. Let me go here. Yeah, you guys can see it. Let's go back to Peter Lee and look at the international friendlies. As I said before, this is the range of competitions that he has under his belt, which he has managed to nail down over 1,000 minutes. Again, just to go over what I've already stated so that you guys can get a visible look or analysis into what I was previously speaking about in terms of international friendlies. 597 minutes, CONCACAF Nations League qualification, 297 minutes, CONCACAF Nations League CONCACAF Nations League B, 118 minutes, Gold Cup 2019, 160 minutes, and then this is at the bottom. Unfortunately, just is the World Cup qualification, and as you can see there on the clock, he's got 3 minutes. Again, just to go up on what I previously highlighted in terms of caps and goals, 18 caps, 6 goals. So again, he does have that experience in his locker, and I think it's fair to say that it is impressive given his age, given his integration into the squad so far. Interesting here, he made his debut when he was 20, so that was what, he's now 23, so you could say 3 years ago, or maybe over 3 years ago. Again, touching on what I said earlier on, you guys probably didn't see this because the screen share unfortunately wasn't activated. Last game out for him where he got minutes under his belt, coincidentally, was against the Mexicans, and you can see that right here at the top where we, again, sorry to reiterate this one, where we lost 2-1. Again, guys, he was on the bench against Costa Rica, so hopefully you guys have been able to see what you should have seen last time round, but unfortunately I forgot to hit screen share. Forgot to activate the screen share. So again, do let me know what you guys think of Peter Lee, his integration back into the Reggae Boyz team. Are you hoping to see him in the starting 11, or are you hoping to see him on the bench with some minutes under his belt at some point during the game? Let's see. Commitment to the support of the team, just a comparison, Crystal. Oh, okay. Okay, Warren. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. A lot of pictures as well. That is great to hear. Added bit of positivity going into our game against Mexico. Who knows? Who knows, Jason? Who knows? I think he knew within himself that the exclusion of Anthony Grant is a gamble. And again, it'd be interesting to see if it was worth the risk. This can help Peter Lee, Vassal, Grow, just rubbing shoulders with Ravel, DJ, and Antonia. Absolutely, absolutely. And this is where it comes into man management and learning how to manage the next generation. There's no two ways about it. Peter Lee is most certainly part of that next generation. So it's great to get him learning from now. Hopefully, we'll see that becomes a habit and he's not just given the odd call up here and there, that he does go on a winning run in terms of getting regular call up with the national side, and hopefully from there he can just take his game up a notch and just elevate himself both for club and his national side. There is someone else that I wanted to talk about. Remember, again, guys, I did say I have 4 players that I want to look at in terms of their integration into the team and whether or not I think it's a good move, sensible move. Is it a high risk, low reward, low risk, high reward? The final player that I actually want to touch on, and you guys have probably figured this one out, is Liam Moore. And we know what has happened with Liam Moore, the former Reading captain, and there's been so much noise going on with Reading and Liam Moore, and this one kind of baffled me a bit. Reason why this one baffled me, I did bring up his career stats if I go up all the way to the top so you guys can see what I am looking at. I'm looking at the 2021-2022 season for Liam Moore. Let me see if you guys can see that. Fantastic. So let's go back. Liam Moore, 2021-2022 season, guys. And if you scroll down, things are starting to give you a bit of a maybe the scratch of the head is probably the right way to look at things. When you look at his club involvement, all of this is for Reading, guys. Not in the squad, not in the squad. You scroll down and then you can see more not in the squad, and then this is when you start to wonder a bit. You start to wonder what's going on with Liam Moore not being in the squad. And the latest one would have been for the first of the 20th of the, so it would have been January 1st 2022. Sorry, January the 22nd, 2022. And if you scroll across here or take your eyes across here where the mouse is, you will see, like previous games, not in the squad. And I did think to myself, what could be the reason? So I tried to dig a little bit deeper for you guys, and I went over and looked at his injury. And I could see, obviously, here you've got one, perhaps most recent injuries that caused him to miss 5 games according to data, away for 30 days. That was from October the 31st, 2020 to November 30th, 2020. Now we're in 2022. So when I go back and I look at Liam Moore and I'm seeing not in the squad, I can only assume that the reason as to why he's not in the squad, if you take into consideration what was said in that announcement, be it club announcement from Reading some weeks ago. I did say on my last few live stream that I did think it was distasteful of Reading, the manner in which they chose to make the announcement, by which they then announced that they'd be stripping him of the captain's armband. I think if you go and look at his injury record, it's safe to say that perhaps the reason why he's not been in the squad as regularly as expected is because of reasons in relation to whatever is going on behind closed doors at his club. So with that, I have to think, and I have to say to myself that I think I might have it here where he actually did speak, he did address. Let's see if I've got it anyway here for you guys in relation to Liam Moore and what he said when it was stated that he will no longer be the club captain for Reading. I'm going to try and see if I can find it. If I don't find it tonight, actually, yeah, I have found it, thankfully. When that statement came out from Reading, guys, in regards to Liam Moore being stripped of the captain's armband, he actually put something out on Instagram, and this is what he said. Incredibly shocked by the statement released tonight. And you had the palm emoji, you know, when you got the hand and the face to the hand, that's what Liam Moore's Instagram story looked like at the time that that statement came out. So again, given what was stated in the club announcement, and you combine that with the fact that he's not been in the squad, the Reading team for more than a handful of games, given his response as well, you're not going to question his commitment for his team, because for his country, because I'm pretty sure that when his country does come calling, he accepts it with great pleasure. So I wouldn't necessarily question his commitment. I will, however, look at his headspace with all that's happened at club level. Has that affected his headspace? Is he where he needs to be on a personal level? But I think one of the things that we could potentially sit back on and probably find comfort in is what we've seen in a string of games in terms of that partnership between Liam Moore and Damian Lowe as well. I think they've arguably built up a decent partnership there. So I think in this situation, in this scenario, you could potentially, given everything that's happened at club level with Liam Moore, given that there might be a potential question mark in regards to his headspace, given what we've seen with that partnership between Liam Moore and Damian Lowe, I think you could possibly say that with regards to the decision making by the gaffer, that this is potentially a low risk, high reward decision. We also have Ethan Pinnock in there as well, so we should be all right in terms of forming that all important centre back partnership at the back. And I think we've already touched on Paul Hall's press conference. Again, we spoke about pressure. Just to reiterate what the gaffer touched on, he spoke about pressure, but he also backed that up with saying that it's healthy pressure. It's good to be under pressure. And I think it's quite good to hear Paul Hall come out and say that there is pressure, because that tells me that he does care. This is not just a walk in the park. This isn't a gaffer who's come through the door and he's hoping to fancy up his CV. This is somebody who knows what it means to be in this position. This is somebody who has been there, done that, knows what it means to not only qualify for a World Cup, be at a World Cup, but he knows what it means to the people of Jamaica. So I think that's the reason why he said that it's healthy pressure, because he has put himself up for the job and he has accepted the task. Also good to see him touch on the mindset. And I think that's where accountability comes in play. I did say earlier on that Paul Hall can have 101 formula of how to beat the Mexicans, beat Mexico, but ultimately the hard work on the pitch comes down to the players, and that's where accountability comes into the picture. There is a few slight anxiousness there, as stated in the press conference, but I think, again, you flip that anxiousness, and I think that's positive for the fan base to work with. I would much rather you say that you are anxious than you do not care. I think if you say you're anxious, that in turn tells me that you do care and there is commitment there. And interestingly, Paul Hall also saying that they would like to make sure that they are confident and being hard not to beat ourselves, paraphrasing. And I think that is absolutely pivotal, because if you look back, particularly in that game against Mexico, safe to say that the Reggae Boyz most certainly beat themselves. So if I go through what's been said in that press conference, so yeah, pretty much all positivity there from Paul Hall, and I can only hope that that is translated onto the field. No real concerns or no red flags that I can see off the jump. Perhaps this time tomorrow, my opinion might have changed. Hopefully not. But I think so far so good with regards to the Reggae Boyz. Okay, let's go through the comments. I think I can just come off. Maybe can I come off? You guys know how the firepower is, so I don't really think I need to touch on our firepower. You know what we have, what we can expect from the likes of, with the omission, by the way, guys, let's remind ourselves, omission of Kemar Roof and Shamar Nicholson. Firepower that we have for this game, I do have their names at the top, so it would be, actually, let me get back up that team sheet. That's probably the best way to do this final bit for you guys in terms of firepower. We have Corey Burke, obviously Michael Antonio, Andre Gray, Junior Flemings, and you can throw Bobby Reed into the mix as well in terms of attacking players. Most key player there in that attacking area. Most people are going to be in favor, no doubt. Clear winner would be Michael Antonio in terms of his contribution in such a relatively short period as well. If you pop over to Michael Antonio, 3 appearances, 2 goals. You can't argue with that. Slightly different story when we look at elsewhere in the squad. Quite pleased for Andre Gray with a one goal to his name so far. But if you look down at other players in the squad, this is for Bobby Reed in terms of World Cup qualifications and where the goals have come from with Bobby Reed. Quite similar to a Corey Burke. Let's go up so you guys can see that that is indeed Corey Burke. Again, you go across here, you look at the competitions that he's played in and the goals that he has to his name. The most important one at present would be World Cup qualification. Shaman Nicholson, just scroll up so you guys can see that that is indeed Shaman Nicholson. 29 caps, 10 goals. If you scroll down, we don't need no one reminding of us what Shaman Nicholson has done so far. World Cup qualification campaign. You can see across there. You can also read his stats in other competitions that he's played in at international level. Bobby Reed, Andre Gray. I've touched on Andre Gray. Junior Flemings. Yes, we can go up again, scroll up so you guys can see that that's Junior Flemings. And you can see what Junior Flemings has done for his country so far. If you scroll down and look at the range of competitions that Junior Flemings has played in and look across the goals and so on. I think so far we've prided ourselves on being the superior Caribbean country, but I think now it's time for us to just take ourselves serious and go out there and get the job done. It'd be interesting to see if we can find the balance between, let me take this down, that's not needed, the balance between attack and defense. I'm also going to be keeping my eye out on how we do in the center of the park, because I think that it's safe to say that that's been one of our weakest areas, despite the number of goals that we have scored so far in the World Cup qualifiers. I think one of our weakest areas is no doubt in the center of the park. So it'd be interesting to see if Paul Hall has managed to make a difference in midfield and if he's managed to polish things up, because we do look quite diluted in that area of the pitch. Let's see what you guys are saying. This can help. Right, that Paul Hall. Why are clubs putting pressure on Reggae Boyz? I think that's probably to summarize it all, it could just be down to the lack of respect. And I think if you've kept your eyes on the AFCON, you would see that there are 1 or 2 perhaps managers, head coaches, and clubs in the Premier League who arguably have a lack of respect for the AFCON nations, and Jamaica, the Caribbean are no different. We're in the same category in terms of how the rest of the world view us, or how English clubs or clubs in Europe view us. Pretty sad, really, when you look at the diversity within the Premier League and look at where these players originate from in terms of their background, their heritage. More than likely, you're going to see traces back to either the Caribbean, Jamaica being up there, or Africa if you're looking at the black players. So yeah, it is quite sad to see the way they view us and the way they view our competition. I think they probably see it as a walk in the park or just a extended holiday, but I can't speak for them. Guys, do let me know if you have any final questions, because surprise, I've actually come to the end of my live stream. I hope I've covered some good points for you all. Again, I will be here tomorrow. I'm going to try and see if I can come on here and speak to you guys. Shall we say maybe around 11:30 if the game is kicking off at 12 o'clock UK time. I'm gonna try and see if I can get here for 11:30. So 30 minutes before kickoff, so that we can talk about the starting 11 and go into a little bit more details on what to expect. Can you begin to explain how daunting press conferences are for managers and the press? It's so refreshing to have a manager fronting up so well. It is. It's exhausting. It's exhausting. I don't know if you're asking me this as a reporter or as a 12th man. I'm guessing it's as a reporter. And it's not just press conference. It could be something as simple as an interview. You try to essentially, when you're doing an interview or a press conference, you want answers, don't you? That's the reason why you ask questions. Nobody asks a question that they don't want an answer to. So when somebody's, again, like I said before, got their cards close to their chest and they're not really giving you much, it's a little bit frustrating, because what do you do with that when you've got a write-up that's due before end of play, or if you're trying to get something in the paper for early Monday morning and the gaffer is giving you very little to work with? It can be quite frustrating, challenging to say the least. Richard, I hope I'm on the same lines as yourself. I just kind of took a gamble with that one, but I do hope I was able to answer your question. Guys, I'm gonna take this one to 2 hours and 5 minutes. I've got another minute with you guys, and then unfortunately I'm just going to have to love you and leave you, because it is already almost 1:20, 1:30, almost 1:30 over here in the UK. But thank you so much for sitting with me and hearing my thoughts on the team selection. Like I said, I do not have a problem with what I've seen so far. Could you speak on the addition of VAR and how it affects our sometimes aggressive tackles? Oh, Lord, Warren, let me take a picture of that. Warren, I'm more than happy to talk about that. We can talk about this tomorrow, but I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there, Warren, because I think that's something that we have to look out for, and it could prove to be problematic, especially if those in charge of VAR or the match officials come from the same region in which we compete in. I think when you look back in that game against the USA, many of us were saying that should we not get a match official or referee outside of the region, right? So someone that's from, I know the using the UK, but they're not exactly great at match officiating, are they? With the amount of time that they've come out and made one or two errors. But for argument's sake, could you not have looked to like the UK, or could you not have looked to Africa, just so that you don't have that obvious favoritism there? Because in the Premier League, essentially, if you've got a referee that supports, say, Liverpool, for example, there's no way a referee who supports Liverpool should be allowed to referee a Liverpool match, for obvious reason. So yeah, I think that's an interesting comment there from yourself, Warren, and it'll be interesting to see how this one pans out as well. Hopefully it works in our favor, because when you're going up against certain teams in CONCACAF, and this is why I say it should be something that perhaps a Kevin Stewart isn't used to. When you touch on that aggressive tackles, that's a given in CONCACAF. You're going to see tackles that you probably look and say, if the referee don't take control of this game, this could get drastic. Or you could sit back and watch a game and say, this is a bit old school, so you might like it if you're from a certain generation. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this one pans out. Richard is saying, have you a personal choice for a likely starting 11, or are you happy to leave our head coach? I'm happy to leave him to it. At this point, I'm trying to sit back and just enjoy the game. Again, my main focus is what's going on in midfield. I'm looking to see what's going on in midfield. And just looking to see if the players are up for it. At this point, it's like, if you're not up for it at this given point of the World Cup qualifying campaign, when will you be up for it? So that's what I'll be looking forward to tomorrow, looking at how the players react, looking at the new page within our chapter, because this is supposed to be a clean slate for all involved. So I'm just looking to see what we can gain out of switching to a new formula. Hopefully it's a winning formula. So that's what I'm going to be having my eyes on for tomorrow's game and for the next 2 games as well after Mexico. So yes, guys, we've gone to 2 hours and 7 minutes. Let me know if you have. I'll give you guys 1 more minute to let me know if you have any final questions. And then tomorrow, we're going to do this all over again. So do let me know if you have any final questions there, guys. And I'll give you another minute. So I'm going to let this one go to 2 hours and 8 minutes, and then I'll do the countdown from there. So you got 1 more minute, guys, and then I'm going to have to close off on this stream. Before I forget my manners, thank you so much for blessing me with your time. Thank you for sitting with me for the best part of almost 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's quite something. Thank you so much for giving up your precious time and for tuning into myself. Hopefully, I can see you on my live stream tomorrow. Warren is saying enough love, positive vibes, wishing the boys all the best. Hope we do not keep up too late. Never, Warren. You guys never keep me up too late. I'm good. I'm quite used to late nights, oddly enough. So yes, guys, thank you so much. I do hope to see you guys around tomorrow again at 11:30 p.m. UK time. If you're in Jamaica, I'm 5 hours ahead of you. So please do the maths based on where you are. Absolutely, Warren. And it's always a pleasure speaking with you guys. It's difficult to log off as well because you guys are so warm and pleasant. If you are new to my channel, guys, then please do go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I do hope to see you guys around on future live stream. If I don't see you tomorrow, then I do hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope that you have a pleasant weekend. Before you go away, let me see my last comment before I close off. I love a great show, Crystal. Content big up, and we love you. Ours on tonight. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening to yourself. You've come at the wrong time on this occasion because I'm just about to log out, but do not let that stop you from rewatching my stream. I think you might enjoy this one. As I was saying, guys, let me go back over to my dashboard. If I do not see you tomorrow, then I do hope that let me bring up do this properly. If I do not see you tomorrow, guys, I do hope that you enjoy the rest of your week, and I do hope that you have a pleasant weekend. Before you go, please do go ahead and hit the like button. Until next time.
I'm John Barnes, and you're watching Tallawah TV. I'm John Barnes, and you're watching Tallawah TV with Crystal Davis.